There. So thanks for joining me. I am out in the garage again. It's one of those days where it's a good idea to have the garage door closed because it's at least 10 degrees cooler in here than it is outside, and it's pretty warm out there. Today's efforts will be to start working on my stainless. So I've got a piece of 220 grit paper here, but in watching all the YouTubes on that, I've got 600, 800, 1500, and 2000 grit sandpaper that I'm going to work on this with. So I'm going to do the 200 grit, take that first layer off, and then I'll switch over to my wet sanding stuff and put a little WD-40 on there, which is what the one guy I watched did. And get those, start getting that kind of worked through, see how that goes. So I'm gonna set the camera up and do a kind of time lapse of this chunk because I think this might get boring, and I reserve the right to shut the camera off if it's just monotonously me going back and forth and back and forth. But if I do that, I will stop it several times, maybe as I switch grits, kind of show you how I'm doing here. So this is new to me, and maybe it's new to you as well, or maybe again you'll be sitting there yelling at me going, hey, you idiot, do it this way. I think there's probably a fair amount of that goes on with this process. So anyway, let's get started. I'll see what I can do here. Okay, so this is going to take a while and it's going to be pretty boring. So I'll just check in and show you as I go along when I change the grits. I'll show you the difference. But basically this is kind of a first pass with 220 grit on the orbital sander. And it's going all right. Kind of looks like there's a rolled edge on the edges where the roller maybe crimped it down a bit, but I'll just work on that. I'm putting the mask on. I'm not sure if I really need it, but I just hate breathing a bunch of dust fumes, especially if it's metallic dust. So I'm gonna shut this thing off and I'll check back in when I get to, say, the 600 grit. I'll make a few passes with that and see how it looks at that point, and then continue on from there. So I'll be back. This is the 600 grit. So pass with 220 and pass with 600. And 3 more grits to go. So my right arm ought to be look like Popeye before I'm done here. This is gonna take a while, so I'm gonna take a break and consider my life choices. That's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna think about how I got here. So I'll be back. I'm sure I'll be back. So just a quick check-in on the status of the stainless. I found some 600 grit that I could put on the thing on my drill. So I made another pass with the 600. I kind of went backwards on grits because I'd already been up to the 800. So sorry, it's 400 grit that I'm putting on the drill. I thought that was because I was looking at the 600, so confused for a second. Anyway, so I did a pass with 400 on the rotary thing on the drill, and then made another pass with 600 by hand with some WD-40 under it. So I don't know if I'm making any progress or not. It's really hard to tell. I mean, I guess it's starting to look a little more kind of closed up or smooth or whatever I'm shooting for. So I'll continue on, but I promised you I'd kind of check in when I changed grit. So that was a pass with I'd started with the 220, then I went to 400 on the drill, did that for a while, came back and did a couple passes of 600. I'll just show you the other side here. So this is the side that kind of seems to be dipped in a little there, where it was kind of, you can see where it rolled. So it's coming along. It's coming along. That's about all I can say at this point. So I'll check back in again and with further updates. Okay, well, these two pieces that I haven't done too much on these lately. These little narrow pieces. What these are is these sit upright like this, basically along the side of the berths on the sides of the boat. So I have got plenty of coats of varnish on this side, got a little dust on them, but they're varnished up pretty well. However, it does look like this back side, I got a few drips and stuff, and I probably really only, you know, a half an inch or so of this shows, if that much. You can kind of see where this is notched down. That's pretty much flush with the top of the deck, or the top of those berths. So technically speaking, I don't really need to varnish the whole thing, but I've got a little bit of varnish left, probably enough to do the full, at least one coat on the back sides of these. So I'm going to give them a quick sand, knock down all those drips and stuff from the old stuff, and then I'm going to put a coat of varnish on the back of those. And then if I still have more left, I'm going to flip my door sections over. Those 4 sections right up there make basically my hatch. And I will need to varnish the back side of those. So if depending on how I run out of, you know, where I run out of varnish, I might get a coat on at least 1 or 2 of those to seal that up. Then I have more varnish coming in, which will get me done. I'm pretty convinced now one more of those little pints will get me through the process and I'll be done. So I did polish up the stainless steel. At least this is the, I think I did this before. This is the 600 grit pass. So I've just got that sitting on the back of the Jeep here for now. So that's just slow, tedious, like handwork. And I think probably I'll just kind of do that in between varnishing. So I'm going to throw the dust mask on, and I put a fresh sheet of 220 grit sandpaper on. I'm going to give this a pass all the way down both of these, and I'll throw a coat of varnish on them, and then I'll come back and check in, see how that looks. So that's it for right now. I'm going to get busy. Well, that was close. I got, excuse me, I got just enough varnish left. I had just enough left in the can to do the backside of these two pieces with their first coat. Now I did the whole thing, even though I mentioned that only about the top half of this shows. And the only reason is obviously I just want to seal the wood up all the way, and then future coats, you know, will be going across just another layer of varnish, so it'll be pretty easy to do a couple more coats on there. But the bulk of that will never be seen because it's going to be screwed up against the side of the berths on the side of the boat. So, you know, I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere and just go, just stop being crazy here and stop thinking you got to put 4 or 5 coats of varnish on every damn piece of wood on the boat. However, I got one more coat on this piece right here. That one I had a couple of runs from before. So that's where that goes, that's kind of the bottom of what's kind of those 2 pieces of track wood around the hatch. So that I got a coat on there and those 2 sides, and my can is a dead soldier. It's completely empty, so I didn't waste a drop of varnish, but I'm completely out. So UPS guy, are you on the way? I need you. Bring me some more goodies. So anyway, I'm really done for tonight. So let's wrap this, and I'll be back to get back inside of the thing, start doing some more work inside of the boat with the silicone and stuff. So for now, I'm gone. Bye. Okay, well, it's Saturday morning. I got no varnish. I'm waiting for my next load of stuff to come from West Marine, because as I mentioned, we don't have one of those in town anymore. I've got my mahogany pieces roughly laid out, sanded down. I need to notch this one, but I've got those pretty much ready to go. I've got my stainless steel that I can work on, but you know what? I decided it's time to clean this garage a little. Look at this mess. So this shouldn't take too long, but good Lord. Has anybody ever put any tools away around this place? Man, what a mess. So here's my plan for Saturday. For today, I'm going to clean this mess behind me. I'm gonna put them big containers somewhere. Those have got a bunch of all the ropes and the sails and stuff off the sailboat. I'm gonna clean out the back of the Jeep here a little bit and kind of organize my supplies and clean this mess up. I even left all my hats and my sunglasses out here last night. So, geez, and I look around this place and I'm like, you got too much junk, Don. You need to sell all your stuff and go live on a boat. Funny you should say that. That's how this whole thing started, that was the plan. So thanks COVID for messing that up, and the boat I looked at for having motor troubles. Anyway, can't imagine that's going to be very exciting, but I will probably clean up this mess for a little while, crank the tunes up, get busy on that, and then when I'm done, I'll get back on that stainless steel a little bit. I think I've done the 200 and the 600 grit so far. So today I'll try to wet sand some 8 and maybe even some 1500 grit onto there. But first, as promised, I'm gonna clean this stinking mess up a little bit. So I'll check back when this place is looking a little more presentable. This is kind of unpleasant when you have to admit that you've got some kind of a problem. But I've apparently got some kind of a problem. So I'm hoping that accepting the problem will set me on the road to recovery. But I've been out here cleaning the garage, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I've discovered about myself. I apparently have some sort of a fixation with ropes of all sizes, colors, lengths, purposes. Yeah, so ropes. That's not all though. Apparently clamps is also sort of my thing. So I've got big clamps, little vices, C clamps, these clamps, this clamp. So between clamping things and tying things up, nothing's getting away from me. I found, well, I knew I had 2 sets of golf clubs that my dad bought at a yard sale 5 years ago and said, keep these in your garage. The next time I'm down, we're gonna go golfing. And now he's kind of going, no, I'm never coming back to that city again. So I don't know how much longer. I'm gonna have to keep those golf clubs probably forever. And 3 pairs of sunglasses showed up in my travels here. I'm pretty sure I bought each one of those. And this is just the start of the stuff that I have that's new that I never know I have before I go to Home Depot and buy more stuff that's new. Because I'm pretty sure that I've got these little black cubbies here, also full of new stuff. And I know that on the boat, I've probably got 20 more of these little packages like this at least. So my new goal in life is to put everything in this top part of the toolbox and actually look here before I go to Home Depot next time. So if you want to learn about yourself, clean out your garage, man. But brace yourself. It can't be, it's not pretty all the time. So I'm gonna throw away 5 miles of rope. I cannot imagine what I could need all that rope for. My boat is a 22-foot boat. I probably have 4 miles of rope, and the boat's probably not going to be back in the water this season, the rate it's going. When I buy a bigger boat, I'm sure it'll probably have some ropes on it of its own, but I don't know, it's just crazy. So I'm not proud, but there it is. I've got this crazy problem with ropes and vices and sunglasses and new parts from Home Depot, and the garage is about 1/10 of the way done, and I'm gonna have to go to therapy or something. So is there a 12-step program for people who own too much junk in their garage? Hope so, because I need it. And like I said, I'm not done. This is just kind of the gathering up, figuring out what I got phase. Now I got to try to figure out how much of it can just be thrown away and how much you got to keep. So I'll check in maybe with the finished product here, because everything other than that is just kind of embarrassing. So in my defense, I'm sure what went through my brain at the time was, I'm not sure exactly what size I'm gonna need. So I'll just get some of everything and take it back when I'm done, the stuff that I haven't used. I just found this whole bag of stuff, and inside of the bag there's also like all kinds of stuff, and that was the haul that I kind of was thinking was probably still up on the boat, which makes me for sure that the stuff that I've bought this go around are still up on the boat. So the madness is real, and there's so far no end in sight. Crazy. This is just crazy. What else might I discover, you wonder, as I'm doing this? Well, here we go. Yellowstone, Grand Teton, Zions, Dead Horse Point, Arches, Wyoming, Shoshone, Wyoming, Off-Road Trails map, Idaho map, Wyoming, Montana. Did I miss anywhere? Oh, and I've got a big book of Alaska maps in the house. I've got a Utah atlas in the truck and a Wyoming atlas in the truck. So at least I know where I'll be knowing where I'm going. And this is the pile of tie-down straps that I'm finding. So apparently I've got a thing where I'm afraid everything's gonna get away. So it's just every turn there's something new. So but I'm going to throw a lot of stuff away. So we're going to make good progress on this garage, and it's going to be whipped back into shape before you know it. Okay, it's fair to say you had your doubts, right? Well, don't worry, so did I. But that looks a little better, doesn't it? Okay, still got the buckets up there, but that's way better. So at least now I can find stuff. So there's the day's work behind us, I think, for the most part. So not bad. Kept myself out of the worst of the heat out there. It's pretty hot today. So anyway, I'll check back when the next monumental thing happens.